I thirst. My brother Antoine got up here and he was talking about his mouth getting dry. It's a natural thing to get dehydrated when the stress of life starts to wear on you. And so when you hear Jesus on the cross say, I thirst, there was a stress of life that was wearing on him, that was heavy on him. You see, there was a physical torment, like my brother just explained. There was a physical torment that when Pilate handed him over to the flogging, to the individuals to flog him, these guys were professional floggers, meaning they knew how to inflict pain on an ungodly level. They could whip. I read somewhere they were professional torture artists involved. These guys knew what they were doing. They knew how to inflict the type of pain that was going to be necessary. And here we are with Jesus on the cross saying, I thirst. You see, thirst is not a commonplace issue, if you will. I'm sorry, thirst is a commonplace issue. It's the misery of the common man, not of the royal man. You see, a king doesn't die of thirst. A peasant will do that, but not a king. You see, but here we have the King of all kings, who's in the middle of his business, what he came to do, leaned over and said, I thirst. And the scripture says that after Jesus, knowing that all things were accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. In Psalm 69 and 21, that's where the scripture was, that's where David said it. He said that they're going to give me gall to eat and vinegar to drink. Then over in Psalms 22, he drives it again. David drives it again. But let's talk about the physical aspect of what was happening to the Lord. The physical stress that caused this thirst. The flogging. And then the holes in the hands and feet. So every time he would move, it would widen the holes. Every time he would shift, it would widen the holes. Painful. Just total pain. And then we go over to Psalms 22. And we're going to talk about that for a little while because that really explained this thirst that we're talking about here. Give me a second. Let me get there. He said, I am poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within me. That's a feverish. That's a feverish pain right there. His heart was hot in him. He was thirsty. He was dry, y'all. He was bone dry. It says, my strength is dried up like a potsherd, which is a little piece of a pot. So you know if there's only a piece, if he's identifying just a piece of a pot, the pot is surely dry. He said, my tongue clings to my jaw. You have brought me to the dust of death. But then we talk about when Jesus went to the garden, right? The Garden of Gethsemane, the Garden of olive oil, the Garden of the crushing, if you will. He went there to pray. And he would say to his Father, he said, oh, my Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. Let this cup pass from me. So this thirst that you're talking about right here was that the cup was emptied. The cup was poured out. It was completely dry. There was nothing more for him to give. Because he even said, knowing that he accomplished these things, that scripture might be fulfilled, he said, I thirst. There was nothing more for him to give us. He poured it all, y'all. He poured it all right there on the cross that day. It all flowed for you and I. I thirst. He thirsted because he poured it all, y'all. There was nothing left. And the next words are going to solidify that. The next few words that Jesus says solidifies everything. He poured it all, y'all.